one of the 5 major regions of the demon realm, and now its core area, is the Realm of Darkness. Within the Realm of Darkness, the Demon God Palace stands as the most powerful force. It resides in the Demon Mountain Range, which is characterized by treacherous, low-lying terrain, making it a natural fortress that is easy to defend and difficult to attack. It is said that within the Demon God Palace lies a strange mountain of corpses, within which is hidden the most powerful sword in the demon realm. Throughout history, no one has been able to move it, and no one has dared to enter and attempt to draw it. However, many rumors about the sword exist, some praising it, while others speak ill of it. At this moment, within the darkened void of the Realm of Darkness, numerous rifts in space are scattered in disarray. Small streams of bright crimson blood flow through, standing out sharply and drawing attention. Bones cover the ground, and corpses are scattered everywhere. A desolate and mournful atmosphere fills the void, as if no one knows how many lives of demon realm beings have fallen here, or how fierce and tragic the battles that occurred were. How brutal. As Xiao Yan and the powerful members of the Fire Sprite clan stepped into the Realm of Darkness, the overwhelming stench of blood hit them. The Grand Elder and Princess Xueying frowned at the pungent smell. The Realm of Darkness is undoubtedly the most ravaged area in the entire demon realm. Many powerful figures are on high alert. Even though there are no visible presences in the dim void ahead, they can clearly feel that the atmosphere is filled with countless terrifying auras. With the Realm Lord of the Demon Realm Center, the Demon Sovereign's transformation into the new 6th Evil God, and the 5th Evil God, the Holy Demon Lord. If such a battle were to erupt, it would reach a terrifying level, with the weaker participants being reduced to nothing in an instant. Someone's coming. Little E and the Grand Elder exchanged a glance, then turned their attention to the roiling void in front of them. As soon as the words were spoken, the void churned, and layers of black demonic clouds emerged, bringing with them an overwhelming aura. It seemed as though an evil, enormous mass of energy was surging forth. Evil god guards, akin to half-demonic gods, at the 5th reincarnation stage. The demonic clouds roiled, causing the members of the Fire Sprite clan to shudder. The temperature of the world plummeted, and a chilling, eerie breeze rushed at them. I've heard that Xiao Domain Lord's divine power is unmatched. Now I see, it truly lives up to its reputation. The 2 evil gods request an audience with Domain Lord Xiao. May I ask if you would be willing to grace us with your presence? A half-demonic god appeared alone in the sky, silently surveying the Fire Sprite army. A faint smile hung on their lips. With the current strength of the Fire Sprite clan combined with Xiao Yan's power, eliminating them would be easy. But what exactly is their intention behind such actions? Big brother, we can't go. The powers of the 2 evil gods, combined with the many strong forces in the Demon Realm Center, would make such a situation far too dangerous. Little E immediately shook her head, attempting to decline the half-demonic god's invitation. Even with Xiao Yan's current peak strength at the 6th reincarnation stage, he would likely struggle to face so many evil powerhouses at once. Moreover, Xiao Yan's identity was now far more significant, and any mishap could lead to a disastrous outcome. Alliance Leader. The Grand Elder of the Fire Sprite clan's face darkened as he saw this. Lead the way. After some consideration, Xiao Yan gave a slight shake of his head, sending a thread of soul power to Little E and the others, clearly instructing them on something subtle. After all, besides the Grand Elder and Princess Xueying, there were also a Supreme Elder and several other elders hidden among the Fire Sprite clan's army, many of whom were at the 6th and 5th reincarnation stages. This was the true foundation of the Fire Sprite clan, and it was on this premise that Xiao Yan had agreed. With Xiao Yan's immense perception, he naturally realized that the numerous regions of the Realm of Darkness were already under the control of the extraterritorial evil clan. If they attacked recklessly, a major battle would be unavoidable. Since the 2 evil gods had invited them, it seemed better to go and investigate. After all, while the 5th and 6th evil gods were indeed powerful, Xiao Yan was not without the ability to resist them now. Domain Lord Xiao is indeed a man of straightforward character. Please. The half-demonic god gestured, and with a flick of his hand, an evil passageway appeared out of nowhere. He then extended his hand toward Xiao Yan. Boom! In an instant, The two of them stepped into the passage and were sucked into the demon god palace. Grand Elder, what should we do now? At this moment, Princess Qianqin and the others couldn't help but speak up. Attack. First, wipe out the evil forces outside the demon god palace, and then await Domain Lord Zhao's instructions before taking further action. Kill. A vast expanse of fiery energy erupted, like volcanic magma pouring out into the space around them. The area outside the Demon Mountain range immediately erupted with intense battle traces. Strangely enough, none of the evil armies outside the Demon Mountain range had any half-demonic god-level powerhouses. In just a quarter of an hour, they were all surrounded and wiped out by the group. However, when they tried to enter the mountains where the Demon God Palace resided, a mysterious and powerful force repelled them, as though some evil power was preventing their advance. Inside the Demon God Palace, amid the vast mountain range, several grand palaces stood, yet these palaces seemed to be protected by a force different from that of the extraterritorial evil clan. At this moment, in a valley beneath the mountains, a voice rang out. Lord Evil Gods, Xiao Yan has arrived. With that, Xiao Yan's figure appeared in the valley. Fifth Evil God, Sacred Demon Lord. Sixth Evil God Demon Sovereign. Xiao Yan stood calmly at the mouth of the valley, his gaze unwavering with no trace of fear, directly locking onto the two dark, swirling energy masses in front of him. From within them, Xiao Yan sensed a strong, evil fluctuation. The power of these two was at least at the sevenfold reincarnation stage. What is your intent in summoning me here? After a moment's thought, Xiao Yan spoke directly, fully aware that these two were no ordinary foes, and thus had no hesitation in his tone. We summoned Domain Lord Xiao to discuss important matters. From within the two dark masses, a chilling smile emerged, making the air feel slightly uneasy. Xiao Yan remained silent, his internal energies slowly circulating, prepared for any sudden moves from the two. This is what you call sincerity? Seeing Xiao Yan's expression of doubt, a pair of clear eyes emerged from within the fifth evil god Sacred Demon Lord's black mass. The eyes gave Xiao Yan a casual glance, before a light wave caused the space in the valley to distort. A blurry image began to slowly clear up. On the image, a dark region flashed with towering blood-red light. 9 rays of light surrounded the area, and its appearance was strikingly similar to the Demon God Palace's divine hall that resided in the Demon Mountain range. As the view zoomed in, a series of black figures appeared in the divine hall. The powerful beings within the Demon God Palace each bore a black mark on their foreheads. These black lines, resembling venomous snakes, continuously devoured their life force, faintly linking their lives together. It seemed their fate was entirely at the mercy of the two evil gods before Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed. Even as he observed the dark divine hall scene, a familiar figure appeared, causing his heart to stir. A storm of killing intent reignited in his eyes. What do you mean by this? Xiao Yan's gaze darkened, fixated on the slender, delicate figure in the distorted image. His body and face trembled slightly. The figure in the image was none other than Xueying. Since parting ways in the demon realm, no trace of her had been found. If not for Feng Wanner's news, Xiao Yan would have had no clue about her life or death. Yet, he never expected that she had joined the Demon God Palace. Moreover, judging by Xueying's current appearance, she seemed to hold a very high position in the Demon God Palace. The entire demon realm has already fallen into my hands. I believe that, with Domain Lord Zhao's unparalleled power, you must have sensed some of the truths behind the image. The fifth evil god Sacred Demon Lord's voice, shrouded in black mist, echoed. His blood-red eyes fixed on Xiao Yan, a sinister smile playing across his face. Only by letting Xiao Yan understand the current situation would the upcoming deal be more effective. After all, the fifth evil god knew full well the complicated relationship between Xiao Yan and Xueying. With just one command, they will all perish. But the reason for this visit is not to exterminate the creatures of the demon realm. I have a deal, one that could secure the entire demon realm's safety, which I believe Domain Lord Xiao will be interested in. A calm and confident voice transmitted from within the black mass, as though the speaker had already sealed Xiao Yan's fate. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. With his strength and that of the Fire Spirit clan, it would not be difficult to defeat the two evil gods and the many powerhouses of the Demon Realm Center. But protecting the creatures of the Demon Realm while doing so was another matter entirely. Domain Lord Zhao's talent and strength are extraordinary. If you hand over the demon sword hidden within the Demon God Palace, I will lead all my forces to withdraw from the Demon Realm. All the evil forces corrupting the Demon Realm will vanish completely. The voice of the sacred Demon Lord turned cold and heavy, each word dripping with certainty. His gaze locked onto Xiao Yan with malicious intent. The demon sword, the safety of the Demon Realm. At this moment, Xiao Yan fell into deep thought. The power of the two in front of him was likely at the sevenfold reincarnation stage. Most importantly, Xiao Yan did not believe that he would so easily withdraw his vast army. The words of the extraterritorial evil clan were undoubtedly filled with uncertainty. Agreed. Send me in. Although both sides knew what the other was thinking, given the current situation, a complete falling out was not possible. Xiao Yan could only speak up. Lord Xiao, there's no need to worry. I always keep my word. Once the demon sword is in hand, the Demon Realm's great catastrophe will surely be resolved. But let me remind you kindly, every action of those within the Demon God Palace is under my control. Lord Xiao is a wise man, so it's best not to attempt any clever tricks. The Holy Demon Lord's voice was cold, but the warning within his words grew even more evident. Humph! Xiao Yan snorted. He was well aware of the current gravity of the situation. Whoosh! With ease, Xiao Yan was sucked into a monstrous surge of demonic power, speeding toward the many temples of the Demon God Palace. However, as this evil passageway appeared, Xiao Yan's body was suddenly separated by some strange force just before reaching the temple. It seemed that within the many temples of the Demon God Palace, some force was shielding and isolating them. Even Xiao Yan felt a little troubled by this eerie, sinister power. Holy Demon Lord, this move of yours is nothing but child's play. If the demon sword is obtained, do you truly intend to withdraw your army and abandon the Demon Realm? These matters are not what you promised me before. At this point, the demon sovereign, who had been standing quietly beside him, could no longer remain silent. Humph. Demon sovereign, I've already elevated your strength to the quasi-seventh reincarnation stage by having you submit to our extraterritorial evil clan. You don't need to concern yourself with the rest. Without the many powerful beings under your command in the center of the Demon Realm, relying solely on the 5 regions, no threat can be formed. Moreover, the purpose of attacking the Demon Realm is not to destroy it. You have no idea what the true power of the demon sword is. Great power always comes with great danger. If Xiao Yan fails, we won't even need to act. Even if he succeeds, with the demon loot in your hands, the demon sword will eventually fall into our possession. By then, his fate will still be sealed. As the words fell, they contained a great deal of ambiguity. Boom! Xiao Yan was sucked into an evil vortex and headed toward the Demon God Palace's temple. But halfway, he encountered an obstruction. The void in front of him suddenly twisted, and the temple scenery vanished in an instant, replaced by some force pulling him into a pitch-black abyss. Cold, malevolent, and sinister auras rushed at him, even beginning to erode Xiao Yan's consciousness. Is this the fluctuation of a formation? The many temples of the Demon God Palace, clearly close by, seemed distant no matter how much Xiao Yan moved, as though a force was separating them. Concentrate the formation with the heart, perceive the inscriptions. In an instant, Xiao Yan slightly closed his eyes, and the core inscriptions within his body began to move, faintly resonating with an incredibly terrifying sound. It slowly immersed his body into the invisible formation. Time passed little by little as Xiao Yan worked to crack this mysterious formation. This guy actually knows about formation arts? Seeing this scene, the 6th evil god demon sovereign's eyes involuntarily narrowed, and the killing intent in his heart became more intense. The power of formations was even more profound and rare than sacred flame power. If it weren't for this formation, researched by the first-generation demon god, blocking their way, they wouldn't be so helplessly waiting here, nor would they so easily make a deal with Xiao Yan. This Xiao Yan's growth rate is terrifying. If we can't eliminate him this time, it won't be long before even the 4 great protectors and the realm leaders will be threatened. Demon Sovereign, I've changed my mind. Use the beings of the demon realm as sacrifices and begin chanting the semi-god technique. Whether the demon sword returns to my hand or not, this guy is nothing but a disaster. Suddenly, a rich crimson demonic aura surged from within the 5th evil god's demonic mist, and the voice rasped with a furious growl.
Yes.
Hearing the holy demon lord's command, the demon sovereign's protective evil mist erupted with a violent wave. The semi-god technique, chanted with the sacrifice of countless demon realm creatures, would possess such power that even 10 Xiao Yans would have no chance but to fall. And the one casting this skill would be none other than himself, the new 6th evil god of the extraterritorial evil clan, the realm lord of the demon realm center. This battle would echo throughout the great thousand worlds, establishing his firm position within the extraterritorial evil clan. This day, he had waited for so long. His name as the demon sovereign would eventually resound throughout the entire great thousand worlds. The demon god palace is the most powerful force within the demon realm's domain. Even the poison god palace, with its profound foundation, cannot compete with it in the absence of the poison god's presence. Within the demon god palace, the demon god palace lord has already reached the 6th reincarnation stage, while the vice palace master is at the half-step 6th reincarnation stage. Along with the 9 high-ranking members, including the 3 demons and 6 evils, the demon god palace stands as the most formidable power in the entire demon realm, both in terms of quantity and quality. After all, the strength of these experts is spread across the 5th and 4th reincarnation stages, making the power of the demon god palace incredibly terrifying. Now, in the main hall, nearly 10 high-ranking members of the demon god palace are gathered. Their expressions are grim, and occasional strange black mist surges from their bodies. Cold sweat drips from their foreheads, and an ominous aura surrounds their faces, making them appear incredibly weak. The black markings on their foreheads constantly pulse, resembling venomous snakes that devour their remaining life force. When the great calamity of the demon realm erupted, it was shortly after the demon god palace lord was slain by the demon emperor. The demon god palace had just recovered his body through the secretary, preparing to elect a new demon god. However, before the election could take place, the appearance of the holy demon lord and the demon sovereign, 2 evil gods, led to the severe injury of the strongest figures among the 5 major regions of the demon realm. They then implanted the demon mark and took control of the entire demon realm. However, from some subtle intelligence, it seems that the 5th evil god, the holy demon lord, harbors a strong desire for the demon sword within the demon god palace. After dominating the entire demon realm, he even attempted to personally retrieve it. Yet, despite the power of the 2 evil gods, they could not approach the mountain of demon sword remains. In the end, they had no choice but to trade the lives of many powerful demon god palace members with the vice palace master, in exchange for his help in retrieving the sword, thereby saving their lives. But even this half-step 6th reincarnation stage expert failed to enter the mountain of demon sword remains, perishing before he could. It seems that the mountain, where the sword is hidden, is filled with mysterious and dangerous restrictions. One wrong step, and it would be a fate worse than death. It was at that time that Xueying, the highest-ranking candidate in the demon god palace, activated the formation left behind by the first-generation demon god, the 9 Directions demon palace map, to protect the entire demon mountain range and its numerous halls, creating a final refuge for them. Now, in the main hall of the demon god palace, many high-ranking members are filled with fear and anxiety. Their eyes constantly drift to Xueying's lifeless face and the frail elderly woman beside her. Xueying, the newly emerged genius witch of the demon god palace, only at the 3rd reincarnation stage, controls 2 sacred flames and is highly favored by the Grand Elder. However, the Grand Elder is severely injured, and both palace lords have perished. The remaining powerful members of the demon god palace seem to be engulfed in panic. Grand Elder, Perhaps we should surrender. The situation is completely under the control of the two evil gods. With our current strength, we stand no chance against them. The realm lord of the demon realm center, the demon sovereign, led many powerful figures to betray the demon realm and ally with the extraterritorial evil clan. Now, outside the demon god palace, the two evil gods and countless evil powerhouses are waiting in ambush. Once the power of the first-generation demon god's formation is exhausted, we will have no place to bury our bodies. In this calamity, if we do not submit, we will have no hope of survival. If we surrender, we might survive. A middle-aged man with a gloomy expression was the first to speak. His grayish-white eyes were devoid of any emotion, like stagnant water. One of the six evils spoke first, clearly having abandoned all resistance, his voice weak and trembling, almost like a last desperate plea for survival. Especially after enduring this endless torment and fear, with no sign of reinforcements from the demon realm's experts, their last shred of hope had long been exhausted. Their mental defenses, once as solid as a fortress, had crumbled. Humph! Although the people of the demon realm have always been looked down upon by the Great Thousand Worlds, considered as those of unworthy nature, we know clearly that we have always been a part of the Great Thousand Worlds. Even if we lose everything, we will never become traitors. Do not bring this up again. Just after the six evils spoke, a white-haired Grand Elder covered his chest, coughing up black, demonic blood. He sharply rebuked the others. Grand Elder, please take care of yourself. Elders, please wait a little longer. Perhaps there are many forces from the Great Thousand Worlds rushing to our rescue. After all, if the demon realm falls, the entire Great Thousand Worlds will face a grave and imminent crisis. Xueying watched this scene, her silver teeth slightly clenched. There had indeed been many events between her and Xiao Yan. Since joining the Demon God Palace, with the guidance of her elders and ancient texts, Xueying had slowly come to terms with the Xiao clan's predicament. The extermination of the clan was certainly hiding some deeper secrets, but now, her sacred flame power had been used too frequently in the previous battle, causing it to slowly begin backfiring on her. Furthermore, after entering the demon realm and practicing there, the infusion of demonic power had made her an entity neither human nor demon. In such a state, she could never return to the Xiao clan guardians. This was one of the key reasons Xueying had joined the Demon God Palace, attempting to compete for the title of Demon God. Xueying knew that her talent was mediocre, and if she continued training at a normal pace, the fourfold reincarnation stage would likely be her limit in the future. However, in the Demon God Palace, not only were there the inherited powers of past demon gods, but there was also the supreme demon sword. As long as she could acquire one of these, her strength and status would undoubtedly rise. Since returning to the Xiao clan guardians was impossible, becoming the new demoness of the demon realm was not out of the question. At least, with her own strength or the power of the Demon God Palace, she could help Xiao Yan, the Xiao clan, and atone for the extreme actions she once took against Xiao Yan and the Xiao clan. Xueying, you witch! Ever since you joined the Demon God Palace, the Palace Lord was slain by the Demon Emperor, and then the Vice Palace Lord fell outside the Mountain of Corpses. The great calamity in the demon realm, I'm afraid, is all because of you. You are an irredeemable witch. At this moment, the six evil powerhouses stood up simultaneously, roaring like crazed beasts, their vicious voices coupled with their blood-red eyes, glaring at Xueying with unrelenting malice. The hatred and murderous intent in their expressions were so strong it seemed they could easily tear Xueying apart in an instant. Clearly, at this moment, in the face of real death, the intimidating influence of the Demon God Palace seemed to have no effect, especially since the two in front refused to surrender, which undoubtedly pushed them toward the abyss of death. Enough! Suddenly, the Grand Elder's cold voice rang out, and an overwhelming pressure of demonic energy swept through the room. Silence! After releasing his pressure, the elderly Grand Elder's gaze locked onto Xueying, as if weighing some decision. Grand Elder, please take care of your health. Xueying was puzzled but still reached out to support him, for it was entirely thanks to this Grand Elder that she had reached her current position. If no one is coming to our aid, we cannot just sit here and wait for death. Right now, there is one way to resolve this deadly situation. The Grand Elder's eyes did not shift, but a chilling aura emanated from him. Clearly, this solution was likely not a glorious one. Grand Elder, don't hesitate any longer. Transfer the remaining power of the Palace Lord and Vice Palace Lord to me. I will go to the Mountain of Corpses to retrieve the demon sword and put an end to this calamity. After a moment, Xueying suddenly realized the Grand Elder's intent from his words. A cold, emotionless smile appeared on her previously pale face. She understood that gaining powerful strength always required a price. Currently, part of the two Palace Lords' power was in the Grand Elder's hands, but that destructive power was something no one dared covet, for it was incredibly malevolent. Anyone who tried to touch it would surely die. Yet, Xueying had no fear of this. What? With just you? With your mere threefold reincarnation stage strength? One of the six evils gestured for her to stop, as they clearly knew that Xueying's actions were tantamount to suicide. The demon sword, which even the two evil gods and the palace lords could not deal with, would be even harder to wield with her fragile power. Though we did recover some of the energy from the fallen six-fold reincarnation stage powerhouses using the special powers of our demon god palace, that power is too vast. Even with your exceptional talent, it would be difficult to absorb it. A single mistake, and you would completely perish. What I am suggesting is not that, but rather, we gather the strength of all the demon god palace's powerhouses, and using the 9 palaces light decision left by the first-generation demon god, we create a new demon god. The Grand Elder shook his head. After a moment, his once distracted eyes suddenly filled with a crazed and extreme look. Gulch. Create a new demon god? The inheritance of the demon god, ever since the fall of the first demon god, has been passed to the Demoness, then the second and third generations of demon gods. Now, we are still waiting for a new successor to the 4th stage. The power of a demon god is enough to rival the 7-fold reincarnation stage, or even stronger. But creating a demon god, how difficult must it be? The 6 evils could the Grand Elder really be willing to risk everything, destroying the demon god palace's countless years of effort in an instant? Now, we all bear the demon seal implanted by the evil gods. Though the formation of the demon god palace currently protects us from its effect, once the formation is broken, we will all undoubtedly die. The Grand Elder slowly shook his head, not directly pressuring them, but the gravity of the situation was unmistakable. Even so, I believe the one most likely to succeed is none other than the Grand Elder. How could we let a junior take on such a burden? We absolutely cannot agree to this. The 3 demons and 6 evils spoke in unison, clearly harboring strong animosity towards Xueying. I possess 2 sacred flames, which can temporarily suppress the backlash from their powers. Apart from that, the power of the 2 palace masters will be fatal upon contact. Upon hearing this, Xueying looked at the Grand Elder, who nodded at her with a satisfied expression. Immediately, cold, murderous intent surged in her eyes. The demon sword has never been drawn by anyone, not even you. After a brief hesitation, the powerful figures could only grit their teeth and speak. If I succeed, I will become the new demon god, ruling the entire demon realm and obtaining everything I desire. If I fail, then it is simply the punishment I deserve as a sinner. In that moment, an eerie black flame, like a malevolent creature, slowly crept out from Xueying's pure, jade-like skin. Greed, coldness. These several auras instantly emanated from Xueying's body. She seemed like a completely different person. Good. Seeing the sacred flame begin to surge, the Grand Elder nodded fiercely, then retrieved 2 pitch-black orbs from his sleeves. They were the unique demon seeds of the Demon God Palace, containing the core powers of the Palace Master and Vice Palace Master. After their fall, the demon traces had been used to recover some of their essence, which had been infused into these orbs. If she could absorb them completely, coupled with the cultivation technique, there was indeed a slim chance of surviving the danger. The two orbs of light seemed to imprison and suppress some of the most vicious demonic energies. Just gazing at them made the heart tremble. If one were to forcefully absorb them, they might turn into a complete demon. Xueying, accept the inheritance power. The Grand Elder's voice was mighty as the demonic aura swirled around him. With a gesture, he threw the two demon seeds into Xueying's body. Ah! As the demon seeds entered her body, before she could begin absorbing them, a heart-wrenching roar suddenly erupted from Xueying's cold lips. Her beautiful eyes widened, filled with countless blood vessels. Black flames began to scorch her skin, and waves of greed seemed to launch a ferocious assault from within her body. The two demon seeds and Xueying's two sacred flames clashed in an explosive burst of hostility. Grand Elder, at this rate, before she even begins absorbing the two powers, her body will be completely torn apart. Seeing Xueying in such agony, several of the elders spoke, their voices filled with urgency. This was their last chance. If they failed, the entire demon god palace might fall into an irreversible abyss. Xueying, no need to hold back. Use the sacred flame demon mark. We will transfer all our power to you. The life and death of the demon realm now rests in your hands. At this moment, the Grand Elder, seeing Xueying's trembling form and the flickering light in her chest, made his decision. No, it's impossible. Once the power of the Nethernight demon fire erupts, it must end with bloodshed. And now, being infected by the two demon seeds, using it would almost certainly put everyone's safety at risk. Xueying's delicate body shuddered, hands clutching her head in evident pain. We've already been marked with the demon seal. Either way, we are doomed. Little girl, the next step is up to you. Despite their strong disapproval of Xueying, the three demons, 6 evils, and other high-ranking officials now had no choice but to place all their hopes on her. In this life, meeting you, girl, has been an honor, though I do not have the qualifications to be your teacher. Poof! The Grand Elder easily appeared beside Xueying, the demonic fire swirling around him, blood slowly dripping onto her sacred flame, causing the space around them to warp and making it impossible to see clearly. Senior. At this moment, looking at the Grand Elder before her, Xueying slightly shook her head, a trace of reluctant sadness swelling in her heart. Suddenly, a black flame shot out from her body, like a long-imprisoned vicious demon escaping in a rush. In an instant, all the halls of the demon god palace erupted with demonic flames, and wherever they went, there was no wind or movement. However, nearly 1,000 strong figures within the palace were all marked with the sacred flame curse seal. Go! The moment the voice fell, the group inside the divine hall actually sat cross-legged, forming a multi-angular formation, continuously channeling their internal energy towards Xueying. On their bodies, the demon seal, planted by the demon sovereign of the center of the demon realm, slowly faded. A pitch-black, eerie curse symbol reappeared on their foreheads. At the moment it appeared, the thread of the demon seal seemed to weaken significantly, and a force resembling the sacred flame demon fire gradually warmed their bodies, filling every limb and bone with energy. Within the black mark, faint traces of words began to emerge. Deep within the mark, it seemed to spell out, Xiao Yan. Of course, under the protection of Xueying's sacred flame and the Grand Elder's life-risking power, the two evil gods from outside the realm didn't notice this strange scene. Huff, huff. After wasting so much time, I finally found a hint of the formation's profundity and infiltrated it. In the void of the Demon Mountain range, Xiao Yan's figure reappeared, breaking through the ancient formation hidden in the void and diving straight toward the divine hall below. The formation was extremely complicated, containing the proud works of numerous first-generation demon gods. Some of its power even made the demonic energy within Xiao Yan's body stir with a hint of caution. The achievements and talents of this first-generation demon god were truly beyond comparison. After entering the divine hall, Xiao Yan subtly used some mental energy to form an illusory array, subtly distorting the surveillance of the two evil gods outside. Descending, Xiao Yan's immense perception revealed that the remaining powerful figures inside the divine hall were few in number and weak in strength. However, before Xiao Yan could even assess his surroundings upon landing, a strange force pulled him into an eerie domain. Is this one of the core temples of the demon god palace? Turning around, he saw several figures barely clinging to life, lying on the ground not far away. Their bodies were surrounded by demonic energy, the aura of the demon realm's powerful beings, confirming they were undoubtedly demon experts. Yet, not only did they bear the demon energy of the demon realm, they also had imprints of an extremely powerful and wholly demonic force on their foreheads, an eerie sight indeed. They carry faint traces of evil power, which originates from the extraterritorial evil clan, and only a half-demonic god could wield such strength. And within that cursed symbol, there seems to be a familiar fluctuation. Nethernight demon fire? At that moment, as Xiao Yan prepared to search through the divine hall, his gaze suddenly fixed on a few figures in the distance. As he spoke, he cautiously moved closer to the core temple of the demon god palace. Grand Elder. Inside the hall, the 6 evils and other strong individuals looked at the barely alive Grand Elder and immediately spoke urgently. Even with Xueying's fearless actions, the success rate was almost less than 1 in 10. Don't worry, I can hold on a little longer, but I hope that girl can succeed. As the Grand Elder spoke, the cursed symbol on her forehead greedily absorbed her blood and even her source power, transferring it to Xueying, who had entered the mountain of corpses. Having obtained 2 demon seeds and the power feedback from many curse symbols, the strength under Xueying's control had already reached a near-destructive level, which is why she ventured into the mountain of corpses, hoping to absorb that power before retrieving the demon sword. That girl, where did she go? Xiao Yan's figure was as fast as a phantom, easily approaching the group. A lingering trace of her unique aura remained in the air, and his voice was cold. You, who are you? How dare you break into our demon god palace's divine hall? The 3 demons, 6 evils, and other powerful beings stared at Xiao Yan's gaunt figure, feeling an overwhelming pressure as though they were being crushed by mountains. This person's power was so strange that he had silently infiltrated the divine hall. The ancient formation left by the first-generation demon god was unsolvable even by 2 evil gods. Yet this person had cracked it to enter? A dangerous aura filled the hearts of the gathered experts. Xiao Domain Lord. The Grand Elder, who had just closed her eyes, strained to open them upon sensing the faint trace of Xiao Yan's aura. She smiled bitterly. As the Grand Elder of the Demon God Palace, she had heard of many powerful figures from the Great Thousand Worlds, so she immediately recognized Xiao Yan. Endless Fire Domain Xiao Yan? Hearing the Grand Elder's words, a few figures around them showed intense joy in their eyes. It seemed Xueying's prediction was correct. Powerful figures from the Great Thousand Worlds had not abandoned them. With this person's presence, the demon realm would not fall. The Grand Elder's expression was dark, as if he was on the verge of completely falling, his voice trembling and broken as he spoke. Seeing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but shake his head. He then leaped past several powerful figures from the Demon God Palace, heading straight to the Grand Elder's side. Raising his hand, a brilliant, pitch-black sucking force exploded forth. Xiao Yan, what do you think you're doing? The surrounding experts looked on, sensing a terrifying fluctuation from the overwhelming suction, sending a chilling sense of death rushing into their hearts. This Xiao Yan, does he intend to obliterate the Grand Elder before their very eyes? Does he want to rule the Demon God Palace? Don't move if you want to live. Xiao Yan paid no attention to the experts around him. His hand swung down towards the Grand Elder's body, and a vast devouring force surged out, instantly wrapping around the Elder's form. Poof! In an instant, a dark, oppressive energy surged like moths to a flame, being swiftly consumed by the force, releasing waves of white mist within the hall. Any void touched by the white mist immediately twisted and shattered. Cough, thank you, Domain Lord Xiao. At this moment, the Grand Elder, strangely, stood up, looking at Xiao Yan in front of him. Domain Lord Xiao, please take us with you. Whatever you ask us to do, we will do willingly. We don't want to die. After a moment, witnessing Xiao Yan's terrifying methods, the 3 demons, 6 evils, and other powerful figures all knelt down, pleading. When faced with death, everything else seemed insignificant. There are reinforcements from our boundless fire domain outside the Divine Hall, so don't worry about the demon realm's catastrophe. But before I rescue you, there's one thing. You carry her curse mark. Tell me, where is she? Xiao Yan didn't intend to waste any more time on these people. He went straight to the point, and his words immediately calmed the surrounding experts. As a guardian of the Xiao clan, no matter what, Xiao Yan would not abandon Xueying. She went to the Mountain of Corpses. Hearing Xiao Yan's voice, the others quickly spoke up, their voices filled with the feeling of having survived a calamity. What? You? At that moment, a wave of fury surged in Xiao Yan's chest. That place was one where even the 2 palace masters and the 2 evil gods were helpless. For her to go there alone was like digging her own grave. If something happens to her, none of you will survive. After a moment, Xiao Yan turned and looked at the dried well surrounded by demonic aura in the Divine Hall, speaking harshly. Why? A shock suddenly surged through the heart of one of the experts, as they seemed to realize the strange relationship between Xiao Yan and Xueying. Because she will always be a part of the Xiao clan. Xiao Yan's body instantly shot into the Divine Hall, diving into the dried well, heading straight towards the Mountain of Corpses. Xueying is also from the Xiao clan? At that moment, many of the experts couldn't help but feel ashamed of their previous disrespectful actions. Let's hope this time the demon realm can turn danger into safety. The Grand Elder, feeling his vitality temporarily suppressed, silently prayed in his heart. With the faintest of sounds, the entire demon god palace fell silent. Clearly, some orders had been given, and hundreds or even thousands of experts began to pray. Both the Mountain of Corpses and the Creation Demon God plan were incredibly perilous.